Folks, and welcome to our game here this morning with myself, James Phillips, and joined as ever by Michael Verney, and brought to you by OurGame.com. Use the promo code OurGame to get 15% off. There are some amount of brilliant jerseys to be had there, including zip-up tops. Also, if you want to get a live GA club fundraiser done at your club, email events@ourgame.ie. We'll sort that out for you. Also, if you want to get the audio podcast for this, patreon.com/OurGame. Michael Verney, that's a tasty little Limerick zip-up you have there.
Very tasty, and they're going to be wearing it for another while yet this summer. The Wexford lads won't be wearing that jersey, but I'm sure they're happy men this morning. And you might flick off the music there, Shane. I know we want to keep going into the Monday morning, but with Jesus, like, was there ever a hurling day like it, like we had yesterday?
It was absolutely brilliant.
It was something else, and just like I was sitting outside the church in Thurles watching the first half of Tip and Galway in the car, and then I went into the grounds, and we were hearing what was going on in Wexford Park, and we were hearing about what was going on in Cusack Park, and then I was in Thurles covering Tip and Waterford, and the telly's over there in Limerick and Cork, and you can hear everything. Like, it was just an absolutely bananas day, and I'd say it's probably the greatest advertisement for hurling within that 4-hour period from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock. Like, you won't get a better advertisement. There was just, and even the fact that RD were bringing up scores and updates from the other grounds and updated tables, and it had a real final day feel to it. Like, I'd imagine when the round robin was put in place, that's exactly what they wanted yesterday. Every game having something at stake. And like, I was in Thurles, and at halftime you're looking like, if it stays the way it is, Tipperary are out of the championship. Like, it was just bonkers. There was so many things going on in different directions. It was a crazy, crazy day.
Yeah, no, it was brilliant. And like 2019, that Leinster finale, that was something else where Galway ended up being the odd ones out. But yesterday, yeah, I was sweating it there at one stage, I have to admit. I was in watching Galway and Dublin. So we've got every angle covered this weekend. I was at Galway, Dublin. You were all over the Joe Mac final. You were at Tipperary, Waterford. We've got Niall Moore, and of course, former Limerick star. He'll be talking to us about the Cork-Limerick game. And we've got Nicky Brennan coming in as well to talk about Wexford getting victory over Kilkenny and saving their bacon as well. Truly a dramatic weekend. Antrim beat Westmeath as well. So Westmeath, unfortunately, after the heroics of the round before, they're gone out. But the main thing is, we've got the matchup that every OurGame supporter and follower wanted, which was Offaly against Tipperary.
Yeah, I think Shane was after jumping out there, but as he was saying there, Offaly against Tipperary in a preliminary quarter-final in 3 weeks' time. I don't think too many people would have predicted that as being a preliminary All-Ireland quarter-final pairing before the weekend. At different stages yesterday, it didn't look like Tipperary were even going to be in the championship. We looked like maybe we were going to kick on in extra time with a Joe Mac final on Saturday evening, but it's teed up absolutely perfect for the OurGame diehards in 3 weeks' time in Tullamore.
Yeah, so look, we've done up a bit of a path to the All-Ireland final here just to show people the dates, how much of a break different teams will get heading into the All-Ireland series. So we know that we're going to see on Sunday, June the 11th, the Leinster final and then the Munster final. They're both on. The following weekend, Offaly are against Tipperary in Tullamore. Carlow will meet Dublin. Then the following week on from that, you're going to have the All-Ireland quarterfinals, then a couple of week break into the semi-finals, and then another couple of weeks again heading into the All-Ireland final. So it's going to be great stuff all the way. I said to you a couple of weeks ago, I couldn't find the clip, but I said to you, and we were joking about if Offaly met Tipperary in a preliminary All-Ireland quarterfinal, if you were offered a 15-point defeat, would you take it? The offer stands.
Was it 15 or 10?
15.
15, okay.
Point of man.
I wouldn't my rear take it. I tell you, you were hanging on for your lives yesterday. It's funny. One of the comments there just came in and said that I said we'd take a pop off whoever we were playing at in the preliminary quarterfinal. I didn't realise, obviously, we were going to be playing Tipperary, which makes it better again because like when did the last play in championship? It's a good few. I think it was a qualifier in Portlaoise, I think.
2010?
No, a couple of years after, maybe 15 or 16, I think. But yeah, that's going to be interesting to say the least when the time comes around there. But the Joe Mac was a bit of a heartbreaker for us on Saturday evening. What an advertisement for the game as well, and an advertisement for the second tier competition. But it was a bit of a heartbreaker. Carlow probably did deserve it on the balance of play, to be fair to them. They were probably the better team throughout, but we got ourselves into a position going into extra time where I thought we'd kick on and we just weren't able to.
So let's go through it then. Carlow 229, Offaly 131 after extra time. Just go through it, because first of all, your Twitter was absolutely on fire and there was no shortage of exclamation marks being used when glory Cahill this, faithful pride that.
Never said the word pride, actually. I'm very careful with that, because I know all the journalists go mad anytime anyone from Offaly says anything to do with pride. Hugh Paddy thought he's a happy man. He's a happy man this morning. Hugh Paddy O'Byrne, that used to play with Carlow. Offaly actually started unbelievably well. Charlie Mitchell had a goal maybe inside 60 seconds, but Carlow,
nice for him to bounce back actually from what happened in the Leinster under-20 final when he got red carded.
Yeah, he'd a good game. He worked like a dog, like he always does. But Carlow really got into it thereafter. They killed us on high ball. Now, I mean to say, their aerial ability was so good, and it's a good few people have said to me since, like Tom Mullaney's obviously from Glenmore. They played like a Kilkenny team, like they were able to outbattle us and outthink us and outfight us in the air. A lot of their scores came from direct ball, be it inside or even in the half forward line. John Michael Nolan made some great catches. Paddy Boland was probably the difference maker, I'd say, in normal time. He ended up at 1-4. He got a great goal and then he won the penalty. Now, questionable whether it was square ball, and Dara Matter unfortunately ended up getting a red card as a result of it as well. What was viewed by Thomas Gleeson as a pull of the face guard, which I thought was really, really harsh.
It was harsh.
To say.
I mean, when you can contrast it with, like, I didn't think this was a red, but the Cahill Barrett versus Seamus Flanagan the week before. I mean, is there much difference? Is there really intent? I thought that was very harsh.
Yeah, no, I thought it was very harsh. And you're thinking, Offaly are down to 14 here. What, about 23, 24 minutes into the first half? It's all Carlow. They were 7 up going into the break. We got it back to 2. But you're thinking, you're going to struggle here. Offaly would probably, not that Jason Sampson would have been playing as a sweeper, but he would have been sitting that bit deeper. So we lost a lot of cover as a result of that, and we pushed a good bit higher up the pitch. But we kept chipping away, despite, I think we'd won 7 on the board at half time and we'd 11 wides. We ended up with 26 all told after extra time, which is an absolute killer. But a lot of them were bad wides in the sense of they were not, good shot options, to be honest with you. And that's just the cut and thrust of it. How many different free takers do we end up with? Owen Cattle started on them, Killian Kiley took them. David Nally, who unfortunately had to go off at the end of normal time with probably, I think, a broken hand or a couple of broken fingers, made a block very similar to Colin Fenley's one on Lara Corbett in the 2011 final, where he put hand, body, head and all on the line. But Offaly got a great bounce from the bench. Evan Kelly came in, Paddy Clancy came in, and Owen Cattle forced a draw at the end of normal time, and Carlow were out on their feet. Now, to me, they looked out on their feet. And I don't know how they resurrected in extra time, but generally with the same personnel, they resurrected in extra time. They were so cute in extra time as well, winning a couple of frees, killing the clock a small bit. Like, it's not sour grapes in any way. It was unbelievably smart. Just real guile, real cuteness to them. And Chris Nolan ended up putting over the winner in extra time. But it was just over back. Probably wasn't the greatest defensive display from either teams, but it was just a brilliant advertisement for, as I said, for hurling in general and for the competition that the Joe McDonagh Cup is, and just how competitive it is. There was nothing between them at the end. Heartbreak for our lads, but as I said at the start, on the balance of play, Carlow were the better team and their scores came a lot easier. They were so efficient in front of the post. And Dermot Byrne got we're all talking about Dermot Burns, but Dermot Byrne got a point from he was about 100 yards out at one stage. And he was just outstanding in the Carlow defence as well. And they deserved their victory. A narrow victory, but they just about deserved it.
Yeah, let's get some Carlow comments in. Hugh Paddy said, morning men. Give us more than that. Who did you think the stars were on the day? Like, Chris Nolan is a serious player, and we've kind of seen that before as well. Shane Brophy says, of the Nina Guardian, does the Joe Mac need a revamp? Not right that Kerry, Leash and Down are finished in mid-May. Not right that the final is on in May. Does the link to All-Ireland need to go to let it expand? Well, I kind of think so, being honest with you. But look, I get it. At the same time, people think it's great to have that carrot of the All-Ireland preliminary quarter-final. Like, there's slightly less jeopardy knowing that Offaly had the backup or the, I don't know, maybe the punishment of having to play another game against Tipperary. Did it take a little bit of the edge out of it?
No, to be honest with you, because when you lose the final, you lose the final. Like, and history would suggest that the teams that have been beaten in the Joe Mac final haven't bounced back particularly well at all when they played that preliminary quarter final. So no, there's no kind of saving grace or silver lining to it. The only thing either of those two teams wanted on Saturday night was to get their way back into the Leinster Championship, and they didn't do so. I also have to. A couple of people said it to me yesterday that Offaly got what they deserved, by choosing to play Carlow in the final.
Well, you did throw the previous game. You did throw the last game.
The greatest load of rubbish that we chose to play one team over the other. That was the way the fixtures worked out. There's a certain cohort of people saying like the Offaly were afraid to play Laois, which is absolute rubbish, and I won't buy that at all. And Johnny Kelly justified his selection in his interview after, and there were 3 or 4 players that were really struggling even to make it to the pitch on Saturday night after being rested for that game against Carlow. To me, they earned their right, but this idea of that they chose to play one team or the other is absolute nonsense.
No, I don't think you chose it, but you did effectively throw the game. Like, you're putting out 15 lads, and you'd love to win it, but realistically, you made 12 changes, then you reverted 12. I mean, let's go.
Oh yeah, 100%. We played our best team for the final, but like any idea of you got what was coming to you or anything like that, I think is absolute madness. Carlow were the better team on the day and deserved their win. And Tom Mullally, who's had unbelievable success at club level, and I'm probably going to leave out some here: Glenmore, Mount Leinster Rangers, Clara, Naas. There's probably a couple more in there, I'd say, somewhere along the way. I think he was with the Wexford under-21s. He was with the Carlow Minors at one stage as well. This is a huge success for him at county level, because I think everybody, around the club scene knows how good of a manager and a coach he is. But this is a huge success, and how he resurrected them in extra time, I don't know, because I said I thought they looked in big trouble. Maybe there was a part of Offaly expended so much energy with 14 to get back level, and then when Offaly had 15, you think they're going to kick on, but it didn't work like that. And I said Carlow's kind of cuteness and how wily they were in extra time was like, if you're a Carlow man and you're looking at that, you're just thinking, this is brilliant. We're playing the clock beautifully. We're playing the game beautifully here. And as I said, yeah, they deserved their win. It was a narrow win, but they deserved it.
Yeah, and most Joe McDonagh finals are brilliant, or else they're close. Like last year, it was 5-22 to 4-24, Antrim beating Kerry, 37 points to 36. The year before that, Westmeath, they were very good actually against Kerry, but they put up a winning score of 228. Now, it was tight the year before in 2020, 22 points to 117. But even before that, Laois put up a winning score of 326 and Carlow 226 the year before that. Generally, these games have been, completely high octane. A Sully180, your buddy from Burr, says Darragh Maher was very unlucky, but unfortunately, when you touch the helmet, you're under risk. Barrett got away with it last week. Just depends on the ref's view. So
yeah, Thomas Gleeson generally let a lot of things go. He let a couple of things go now that were blatant frees, but he definitely played into making it a very, very good game. But I thought with the way the game was refereed that was a very, very harsh decision.
Yeah, okay. Anything else you want to say on that? I mean, you're obviously looking forward to the match against Tipperary. Tipper all at sea, of course. So you'll smell blood.
Well, I tell you what, I'm glad it's not like the week turnaround that they would have had before, because I don't think you'd be taking the week turnaround either with the injury list that you have at the moment. But I'm glad that the boys get to go out and drown their sorrows for a couple of days, and I'm sure they'll regroup at the end of the week. And it's gas. Like Brendan Matter's going to be coming up against Tip now as well.
And Martin
Matter's going to be coming up against Tip. Martin. It's a crazy kind of scenario. Johnny Kelly's obviously would know the Tip scene inside out from being Barnsley manager too.
And Nina, he was involved with Nina then last year as well.
So it's going to be kind of a bonkers kind of setup going into that game, but. That'll probably be the best reflection of where Carlow are when they play Dublin, and it'll be the best reflection of where we actually are. And maybe call me crazy, but like maybe Offaly need another year or two at Joe McDonagh Cup level before they go play Leinster Championship. Would they survive in Leinster next year? I'm not so sure. Will Carlow survive? I don't know that either. But Offaly will be back in the Leinster Championship when they're ready to be back in the Leinster Championship. And they were, in fairness to Carlow, that was a brilliant performance for them the other night, and they deserved it.
I'm putting you on the spot here, but do you know what the attendance was Offaly Carlow the other night?
I actually don't know that, no, because I was watching it from home here, because we're expecting a bab in the next couple of days, so I was watching it at home here. Couldn't get into it, unfortunately. I don't know. And one thing about the cameras where RT had them placed the other night, so the camera was facing over towards the Hogan, which is unusual.
Yeah.
So I think that was to probably highlight the crowd that was there, and it seemed to be a decent crowd there. But the one thing it missed is you actually didn't get to see the subs coming on as clearly as you normally would, because the camera wasn't focused in on top of it. So I actually missed some subs late in the game.
And actually, I was chatting to Jerry Canning, the commentator, yesterday at RT in Croke Park, and he was telling me that the sun was shining straight on top of him for that game, and he couldn't even see the TV screens in front of him. It was that bright.
Yeah.
But the point I was going to come to asking you about the crowd is that there will be more at the All Ireland Under-20 final. There just seems to be a bigger crowd turning out for Offaly games for underage than senior, even though the seniors are going well. It's nuts.
Yeah, there's just a buzz around that underage team, and I think, given the way the economics of the country are at the moment, I'd say a lot of families had to make a decision about whether they were going to Croke Park last Saturday or whether they were going to Thurles next Sunday. Given the financial outlay a lot of families would have to make, particularly if they're bringing 2 or 3 kids or whatever. So like, I think there'd be 40,000 plus in Thurles on Sunday, easy. If there was 20 something in Nolan Park last year for Offaly Tip, throw in Cork there, obviously a bigger hurling county than Tip, and it'll be even more.
Sorry, bigger population.
Yeah. And obviously throw Galway and Clare into the mix as well. Yeah, I think to be 40,000+ there, and the lads had the sprinklers and everything on in Tom Temple's field yesterday, getting it ready for the next day.